Is he really alive?
Okay, I know what I'm going to say.
Hi! We hereby call this meeting of the FanGhouls Club to order. I'm Brielle.
And I'm Haley. And today we ask ourselves the question, is Eddie Munson alive? Well, we already know
yes.
already know the answer is yes, and we're going to explain why.
So, since all the rumors and the big hopes and dreams that the season 5 trailer is coming out at To Doom, finally, we're going to talk about our top favorite theory that we are 100% sure is going to happen in season 5. Everyone swears that he's dead, but I don't believe any of them.
We refuse to believe that Eddie Munson is dead because, well, number one, he was such a huge part of season 4. Mm-hmm. He was, whether they meant, they didn't know that this was going to happen, but he became such an instantly beloved character and such an important character for the whole story of the season. And he became such a hero, part of the party even, that I just don't think his journey with the party is done.
Maybe it's done with the party, but maybe he's still just in some sort of way going to be resurrected. Yes. He might not be the same Eddie Munson though.
Right. So we have this theory, the D&D theory, right? Mm-hmm. Of the character
Cass.
The character Cass from Dungeons and Dragons lore.
Which they bring up in the first episode when Hellfire Club is playing D&D. They even mention Cass by name.
Mm-hmm. Vecna is going to going to be the one to resurrect his Cass, Eddie Munson. Mm-hmm. To sort of do his bidding and be his right-hand man. Maybe at first wreaking havoc for Vecna because he can't control himself as this vampiric version of himself. Mm-hmm. At some point, he'll find the will. He'll come out of his trance.
Because the lore of Cass is that he ends up betraying his master.
Yeah.
And stabs him with his sword. Mm-hmm. So the hope and the goal would be that he's not going to come back, sure, and he won't be the same like Eddie. But if it's following the lore of the Cass character, then maybe in the end he will disobey his master and stab him and sacrifice himself to kill him. Because if Vecna dies, then so does he, and so does all of everything that's connected with the particles of the hive mind of the Upside Down.
Yeah.
And Cass is known to be resurrected and revived as a vampire.
Right.
Eddie dies by the demo bat bites. Mm-hmm. His main weapons as the character of Cass is a sword and a shield.
Yeah.
And at the end, we see Eddie making his own shield with the trash can lid and his own spear that he uses against the bats.
Exactly.
It's just too...
And then he plays the song with the lyrics, "Obey your master," which, I think a big thing about it could be he becomes this opposite version of himself. If this theory is true and he becomes Cass, we'll see this just totally inverse version of Eddie. And he's got this evil side to him. And then he overcomes that and he becomes the best version of himself that we ever get, because he's a brave warrior now, and he's overcome all of these fears that he has in season 4. That's what's so cool about his character in the whole season is he talks a big game, and he is the dungeon master, and he has this power over these kids, but then when it comes to these real world things,
he runs.
Yeah, he sort of cowers. So I just think, and yeah, he does something big and heroic in the end.
Yeah.
But I think there should have been more payoff than he got, obviously.
That's why it's
being a sacrifice is, it's heroic in and of itself, but I just don't think it was his time. I don't know.
I think there's just way too many Easter eggs that I would almost be more confused if this doesn't happen.
Yeah.
As to why some of these other things were laid out. I would be very lost. Because even with his tattoos of talking about the song and Vecna being his puppet master, of Eddie's tattoos is he has a swarm of bats.
Right.
He then dies by the demo bat bites. He has a tattoo of a puppet
Right.
and on its strings, which is way too
indicative of
that's
the theory.
crazy.
Yeah.
Why else would they specifically make sure that was one of the tattoos that we saw? It's the tiniest glimpse. There's no like close up or anything. But that's why it's an Easter egg. It's like just laid there nicely. And what's the other one is oh right, he has his a spider tattoo as well. And we know Vecna
Loves
/1
Spideys.
Yeah, that's his whole shtick. It's just
all signs point to Eddie being alive in some capacity in season 5.
brought back to life, vampiric.
Which is so freaking cool. We've not seen anything like that. You know, we've seen people being controlled by Vecna. You know, we've seen plenty of gruesome deaths and like we've seen the world of the Upside Down, but we haven't seen like a human monster, like a vampire. You know what I mean? That's going to be really cool.
And he's also at the end of season 4 when they're in Russia and they see the lab and they were doing the testing on the Demogorgon and they have some of the particles.
Yeah.
And they see it like swirling and they're all like, what the hell is that? What the hell? They see that even if they're not all connected, these particles still are like trying to function on their own and they're trying to get out.
Yeah.
And they're trying to
Break out the hive
break
mind.
out and or try to find a body to go into to connect to the hive mind.
Yeah.
And they end of season 4, Hopper, Joyce, and Murray, when they go back into the Russian prison, they find the particles that were kept in that glass case and it was broken open by some gunshots. And it went into the bodies of the Demogorgons and the Demodogs that the Russians were creating in the test tubes. So they were testing on that one Demogorgon that was still alive. And then they were like, the theory we have of Papa creating the Petri dish kids. The Russians were creating these Petri dish Demodogs.
Yeah.
They didn't take all those Demodogs from the Upside Down or anything. They created them.
Yeah.
And then so when the particles broke out of that glass, they went into the Demodogs and they like resurrected them.
Yeah.
And that's how they were then infiltrating the whole prison. So clearly these particles can just go into a body and
At his will.
resurrect it, bring it to life, bring it to be a part of the hive mind, and then it's controlled.
Yeah, he wouldn't waste a body like that.
It was just left in the, like Eddie's body was just left in the Upside Down.
Right.
Clearly there's ample particles in there and it could just, he was like, sweet, I could use you.
Yeah.
And he just resurrects him.
I just wonder, like, yes, I think that's the most viable theory to get us to a point where he is resurrected. I just wonder though, like, will there, and maybe this is something that maybe like Dustin works on or searches for throughout
He figures
the season,
out everything.
is how to get him out of that and not have him be dead.
I think that's the tragic of it. I don't think Eddie, even if he comes back, he's
won't
not gonna
be alive.
No.
I just don't know how we could survive. Like,
I think
not in a dramatic way, like not in a dramatic way, a writing sense. Like, you know, is that successful to kill him twice? I think he could serve a purpose for sure. And what does it mean if he's able to be brought back to life, but only as a vampire? And they somehow find a way to bring his spirit, mind out of this body to then betray his master Vecna to help them. Doesn't that mean there's something about him that's alive in there that they could help him pull through? Like, what? I just am excited. I'm interested to see. I'm talking about it like it's happening because it is. What does that look like?
Like I can't. I have full faith in the Duffer Brothers.
100%.
Like I'm not worried.
Yeah, we trust the process.
But I'm not gonna lie. I will be so disappointed.
Yeah,
if
same.
this isn't true.
Same.
I will be confused because since the day he died and I watched that happen, I have been convinced that it is not, that's not it.
Yeah, me too. Even the way Dustin spoke with his uncle in the final scenes and just I
never even saw him get
the overall vibe of the search for him, people drawing devil faces on his poster and his like missing posters.
It's just
and like
too much.
Yeah, it's just they kind of were like they literally couldn't find his body. Like I think that was a big thing they kept hammering in, maybe just to make us hope like the way that we are, but
there's just too many coincidences. And have you seen there's also just the talks of like why his name is Eddie itself? Because when Nancy is currently being possessed by Vecna and they're trying to like wake her up and find some music in Eddie's room, they're all looking for music and
I need music.
Yes, she holds up an Iron Maiden
cassette.
I was gonna say, what is the word?
It's been a
she
while.
holds up the Iron Maiden cassette, and the Iron Maiden mascot is a resurrected zombie type dead person named
Like,
Eddie.
It's all a part of. It's all another Easter egg.
I'm just like, I've never been so convinced of something in my
Listen,
life.
I know.
And I will be so embarrassed
If he's not in it at all.
Joseph Quinn just has no appearance.
Like a little bit of sadness from Dustin, but that's the last we hear about him.
If there's literally nothing about Eddie in this season, I'm going to
I can't fathom it.
A lot of things.
I really can't fathom it.
Especially with like how big Joseph has gotten now after the show.
Yeah. I don't know either. I mean, we do know.
I know.
Because the theory is it's ironclad.
It really is. And that's why I feel so passionate. And I'm so certain.
And they keep around they didn't keep Bob, but they keep around a lot of beloved characters. I think Eddie is of that caliber where it's like, there's more we can do with him.
Because when
it would have had to been written in a long time ago, I think, because of
all the Easter eggs.
If these are actually Easter eggs, yeah.
It would have had to have been involved earlier
However,
on.
we do know that they wrote seasons 4 and 5
They've
somewhat
known
simultaneous.
Since
they know how it ends.
Yeah.
Like in terms of like specific character, with Eddie specifically, who knows how
much that's changed.
They might have changed that.
It's like even the vampire idea has been around in general, because when they first like are introduced really to Vecna in the last season, multiple of them like say different times something about him is, what is he, a vampire?
Yeah.
Is what Steve says. And at one point Max goes like, oh, we can just stab him through the heart with a stake. Like he's
always making those gestures.
Dracula-esque.
Dracula-esque.
It's just, there's too many.
And I do think like once you hear about it on the table in the campaign by the characters,
yes,
it's going to happen.
I know.
You're going to see some version of, whatever characters they're playing with or against in the game.
Yeah, so who's going to be playing D&D in this new season that gets to introduce us to?
I really hope it's
Erica?
The OG or the OGs.
Oh, the 4.
Because I know that's something that they've all talked about being excited to do, is like the core 4/5 being
together
this season, which I'm excited about.
I know. Eddie, I'm convinced.
And it's not just because we love him.
And it's happening in episode 6.
Okay.
Escape from Camazotz.
The whole Camazotz of it all.
It literally means deathbat.
Yeah. Hello.
Like, I've never been so convinced of something.
If I'm not
in my
mistaken,
life.
I think that is another aspect of Cass, is that he does control bats.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't just have, the sword and the shield, but he also controls bats, if I'm not mistaken.
Or that's Camazotz.
Could be Camazotz.
But it's just there's too many. It's too many. The tattoos, the music choices that they had.
The way he dies, where he dies.
He's left. We don't see the body. Like,
he's missing. It's all too...
Them drawing devil on his, it's just too...
the Easter egg, the signs are there, and...
We saw Jason die. Jason got...
literally cut in half. We saw Bob die.
Oh my God, Bob died. And the sword Eddie's going to use to kill Vecna or help injure him or something is the sword that Hopper uses against the Demogorgon that they left in the prison in Russia.
Is that one of the ones that was resurrected that they made?
The sword?
No, the Demodog, I mean.
I don't know. No, the big Demogorgon.
Oh, that was
at
a Demogorgon.
the end, like with the intense when they're throwing them.
No, I know.
Yeah.
I know the scene.
The greatest scene ever.
I just couldn't remember in the moment if it was a Demodog or a Demogorgon.
No, the big Demogorgon when he like cuts his head off, and then they specifically have a slow shot scene panned to the sword.
Yes,
that's like left on the ground.
Yes, how he's gonna get that sword, who knows? But
it's all connected.
Yeah.
Now that there's all these hive minds and portals and everything.
How did Hopper get that on a plane to bring home to Hawkins?
They might have left it in Russia. I don't know.
But it's all leading to him being alive somehow.
Or undead.
Him alive, undead. He's gonna be in season 5.
Episode 6.
We're gonna see him. So, anything else about Eddie?
Lots.
Well then, this meeting of the FanGhouls Club is adjourned.